Hello again, my name is Dr. Bill Johnson. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Exploring Our Schools. Today we're going to focus on something which is really very exciting, somewhat new to the school district, but it is just an incredible opportunity for kids at Southside Middle School to learn things that probably their parents never even imagined could have existed, either in school or actually in the world in which we lived at that time. So at any rate, we're going to focus today on robotics. So I have Dan Lomano, who's one of our tech teachers at Southside Middle School. And we have two 8th grade students who also participate in lots of competitions. Leo Valenti and Will Corin. So thank you both very much for coming. First, I'm just going to talk, please, if you don't mind, just for a few minutes with you about what is robotics and what's it all about?
That's a huge
At
question.
Southside Middle School, okay.
Well, so robotics in Southside Middle School is offered as a class to 7th graders. Every single 7th grader takes it. They rotate through the technology program. It's one of the offerings, and that's the starting program. From there, we have the robotics team, and that's where I come into play. So Mr. Bachman teaches the class, and then we co-coach the team. And it consists of 2 days a week robotic meetings. We go to 4 competitions, states, and then if we make it, we can go to Worlds as well. It's all encompassing. There's computer programming, robotic building, driving. You can pretty much choose a role within the club, sample different roles. And then we also do STEM research projects and online challenges.
So what does a robot look like? I mean, you know, my first experience with a robot was one of these vacuum cleaners that ran around my house, or cleaned the bottom of your pool. I mean, those things were considered robots at the time, so I'm not sure what yours look like.
Well, ours basically, it has like a base and 4 to 5 wheels, and it'll have something that can like lift up the claw, and then it'll have like a claw or some method of object manipulation like a plow or a claw.
So when we talk about robotics for you guys, and you're doing something within that the team gets involved in, there's actually a job that the robot is supposed to be doing, right? I mean, there is some activity in which, can you describe what it's, for example, what is the robot supposed to do?
So every year, the company Vex releases their new challenge. So every year it's a completely different challenge with a completely different goal, and the whole objective is to score as many points as possible.
Now, how do you get a point?
In this year's competition, there are color-coded rings, and you have to lift them and put them on poles or push them next to the poles to score points.
Whoa, that sounds easy. I mean, I can do that.
It is, Will made it sound really easy, so there's a tremendous amount of strategy. For starters, you have nothing, so you have to, you see this game board, you see the pieces, you see how you can score points, and the kids have to.
Now, do we get the equipment from Vex?
From Vex.
So they, in other words, they give you what?
They create a new game every year, so they use the same game board, and then it's kind of like an interlocking system similar to Legos. Vex engineers develop a new game every year, and then they send you a box with all the parts. So this year, we have vertical and horizontal posts that they can put rings on. They have a ramp that you can knock down, and what is it, the safety gate? What's the official name?
I think so.
Anyways, it's a fence where they can knock rings down for points. So they give you all the parts and the directions on how to assemble it, and it's like, it's kind of like kinetics on steroids, really. It's just a really large.
But I'm just trying to visualize what this thing looks like. I mean, does it look like a car, a bicycle,
The robots?
Yeah.
You want to answer?
It can really be anything that your heart desires as long as it gets the task done. You could build any size. Within the size, they give you a size constraint of height, width, and length for the competition. And as long as it's within that, you can make it any shape you want.
Now, somewhere in there is a brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So who creates that, and how does that work?
Vex really created those. It basically is just the sort of like the life source of the robot. You any program that you make, you download that into the brain, and then the brain really tells all the motors and everything what to do.
But you guys got to figure out how many motors it needs. I mean, if you have 5 wheels, you have to have, I guess, a motor drive each one of the wheels, or?
It depends. Sometimes you can link them together with gears and stuff, but you're only allowed to use up to 6 motors in every competition.
So, I know you guys competed this past weekend.
Yeah.
What did this thing look like? Did it do what it was supposed to do?
Well, yeah, somewhat it did. So, my robot, it couldn't. There are rings on the ground on the board too, but ours couldn't pick that up. They could just pick the ones like on the posts on the side and put them on the posts. And my group ended up getting to the finals, and we got 4th place in that for the teamwork challenge.
So what did your robot look like, and what exactly did it do? It lifted them off of one thing and put them on another.
Yeah, so like it was like bars on top and the bottom, and then like a rubber band connecting them, so you could run into the rings and then lift it up, and the rings would be in there, and then you could just place it on the post and drive backwards, and the rings would stay.
What did the rubber band do?
The rubber band just kept the rings inside.
Very good.
Yeah, but you got to figure this out, right? I mean, how much time do you have to spend doing this?
Well, I mean,
Is it just luck? Or how do you actually put together plans? How do you figure this out?
building it, like some of it, like you'll know what you're doing, but there's also just like a lot of trial and error, like with the claw, like we just made a bunch of different models and then we picked one that worked the best in the end.
But somebody has to know how to program these things, right?
Yeah.
Now, is that what you do?
I partially do that. Someone else in my group like mostly does the programming, but yeah, so the programming is just autonomous and it'll move on its own, and yeah, it's the same as a driver except you don't control it.
Now, let's get to that. And now, you're a driver.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
It means that you have a controller that makes the robot move and pick up rings, so you control the arm and the wheels. And there's a teamwork challenge and a driver challenge, driver skill. So driver skill is just like you and a teammate are driving it and trying to score as many points as possible. And teamwork is you and your teammate and then another group that has them and their teammate are driving it. And you'll switch off like 30 seconds into the match. It's 1 minute.
Where's the other group come from?
The other group are just from like other schools on other teams, or they could be from a different team in your own school.
So you're not going head to head with somebody. You actually have to work with other people.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
remarkable because, so, you know, what's awesome about local competitions is the kids get to work with students from other schools. And then the world's competition, I mean, well, we were with kids from China, Chile, Japan, everywhere. And you know, there's language barriers, there's communication, you know, the students are up against even being able to communicate with each other, and they have to develop a game plan because they're working on the same board. They're, you know, you don't want to be bumping into each other and stuff. So a lot of prior planning goes into it, a lot of strategy. You know, there's a lot of trial and error, simple machines, computer programming. There's a lot that goes into it.
But there's a lot of thought that goes into it.
Tremendous amounts, yeah.
So, and what's rather unique about this is that you're not on your own, right? You're working with other kids.
We do have our teams of like 5-6 people that all have important roles in the club, and they all help with different parts of building and programming and STEM. They all help with different aspects of robotics.
Now, did yours look like his? I mean, was your robot?
No, they all really look different.
Did yours do the same task? Did it lift something?
No, ours took the rings that were already on the ground and pushed them into the sides to try and score points, and then knocked down the bonus tray and used that the same plow to continue pushing more rings in.
All right, so there are different ways in which both of you could score points.
Yeah.
Now, how many kids on your team?
On mine, there's 6.
All right, so when you're working with the other kids, do each of you have a certain specialty that you work on? Or do you kind of all work together on?
Yeah, it depends on the task that we need to get done. Because I know that some of the kids on my team, this is like their first year, so some of the people on my team that have done this before sort of are there to help them and learn how to do it. So it really does, we all try and help each other, but then in other parts where they know what they're doing, we sort of split off and make sure we can get a lot of work done.
Isn't that remarkable? I mean, the world is not perfect. No one else is perfect except you, right? So I'm only being, somewhat facetious about that, but It's interesting to see how you, with 5 other people, are able to figure out together how to do this thing, and it's the team really that matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, I'm sure you feel at times a little frustrated because somebody may not know something you do,
Yeah, I understand that.
but
You understand frustration well.
Yeah.
You can be honest.
Okay. So, yeah, from time to time it is difficult to work with specific people, but we always overcome it. We always resolve these situations and continue working forwards from it.
see, that's one of the more remarkable aspects of what this team aspect of robotics is all about.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just another opportunity to, teach kids about overcoming obstacles to achieve goals. And we've been really fortunate here at Rockville Center. We've been really successful at it. I mean, this year we we have 55 kids in the team. So,
Wow. See, what's remarkable is, when you talk about real world experiences, this is it. I mean,
yeah,
And-
if you look at how the things are manufactured in this world,
Or created.
Yeah,
think about teams that create.
Hmm.
And it's sometimes from real frustration that the most creative ideas come forward.
Absolutely.
So, how'd you do in the competition?
We did pretty good. We did some. There were there were ups and downs. I mean, we definitely could have done a little bit better. It was the first competition. We didn't really have all of our ideas together yet,
Okay.
but we definitely did put together a good fight.
Now, for each competition, it's a different robot, or do you kind of take back what you have right now, refine it, and go on to the next competition?
It's really up to you. I mean, if you have a robot that was terrible and wasn't able to do with the task well enough, and you know that it had no chance, even if you start trying to work on it, then you really can just break it apart and start from the beginning. But if you have a robot that was able to do something, it's a good idea to try and modify it and make it work a little bit better.
How about you?
Yeah, I
wedded?
mean, our robot did pretty well, but there's always like stuff to improve, like the claw. And even if your robot does like really well, you should still modify it just to see if you can like do anything better, because there's always room to improve.
Isn't that interesting? And obviously, the teams that you're competing with are always doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's an evolutionary process. You see a lot of success. The successful robots usually stay the way they are from the beginning and then continuously progress. But it really is. It's each individual team has their own tasks, their own. Some groups start from the scratch after their first contest. I think we have one group starting from scratch this year, and then other groups like these guys are probably just going to continue to get better and better. Yeah.
Both teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, I mean, it's an incredible learning experience. Where do you see it headed?
Us or robotics in a whole. As an organization, Southside, we're slowly becoming a powerhouse, especially in middle school, and we're starting to make a real good push in high school. So Southside Robotics is a name in Long Island at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're definitely doing pretty well. I mean, we've made Worlds 2 times in a row now, so that's been pretty good for our rep, and the kids have been doing a great job. I see an advancement in our STEM research. We had an urban farming and agriculture project that really wowed judges in Worlds last year, and some of the kids are back this year, and they're working on robotic farming already, and defense.
Can you explain that a little bit?
So one aspect of VEX is less robotic related, and it's the STEM research aspect. It's like a huge science fair. It's like the maker fairs. I don't know if you've ever heard of the maker movement, but the maker fairs. And the kids have to look into different topics. This year it happens to be robots within dangerous tasks. And they've looked into, so we have kids researching robotics in like military, robotics in life-saving, robotics in helping the elderly, and robotics in agriculture. Just this past weekend, we got a bid to states with a robotics in agriculture project. And the kids, they have, VEX gives us rubrics, they give us ideas of what they want us to do, and the kids look into the history and where we're at, pros and cons. They analyze the robots themselves, they create their own analysis, and then and now we're starting to work on like life-size models and stuff. So we've been really fortunate, you know, with me and Mr. Bachman as a team, we have a lot more space, and we've really excelled in the STEM projects. Yeah.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah,
You do.
I always do. It's always just a fun thing because you get to see how like other people think and learn from how they think and really get a different view on everything else that you do.
You just said a mouthful. Wow. You talk about the way in which we would love to see adults work with one another.
Yeah.
Just being able to explore how other people think and use that and work with them is just extraordinary. How about you? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoy it. Like, I really enjoy just meeting other people at the competition when you have to do a teamwork challenge and like making a plan with them. And you always like meet new people in the robotics team or.
Does it
there.
wake you up in the middle of the night thinking about some of these things? No.
Not in the middle of the night, but maybe before I
I'm
go to
on.
bed.
Yeah. All right. So it sounds like it's almost self-consuming. I mean, it's.
Yeah, we're a family. You know, these guys are in on their off periods. They're in them after school, before school. You know, it is. You can tell it's a part of these kids' lives, and it's
Wow.
part of all of our lives. Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
So we're really coming right down to the very end. Any recommendations on? Now, you guys are in 8th grade. Have you been doing it since 6th grade?
I have. Since the very beginning, first day of school, I walked in, saw Mr. Bachman and Mr. Lamont. I got a big smile on my face and said, "This is what I want to do for my
Oh,
3
wow.
years here."
Yeah. How about you, Leo?
Well, this is my first year doing the robotics team, but I knew a bunch of people in it, and I really enjoyed the robotics class. I was in 7th grade, so I decided I would do it, and I'm really enjoying it so far.
Good. Well, I wish you both the best of luck. Just remarkable what, apart from the robots themselves, there's a real human experience behind this
That's what
and a
we're
real
showing.
incredible learning experience.
Mhm.
And I think that's really what we're all about and what I wanted to emphasize. That, robots are easy to look at. It's what got you there that's very important.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, so I really thank both of you for being here today. I wish you the best of luck in the competitions. I know there's a bunch of them coming up during the school year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Should be a good year.
and you guys do an incredible job over there.
Thank you very
all right?
much.
I hope you enjoy it as much as the kids do.
We do.
Yeah, so, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you all very much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I do. It's an incredible experience for our children at Southside Middle School. And one of these days, some robot that on Park Avenue may have its origins in Southside Middle School. But thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.